I am a big fan of handshakes, and standing here in front of you tonight makes me want to jump off stage and run up to each and every one of you and shake your hand. I want to do this because I want to show my appreciation that you have come, but also because I would like to get to know you and maybe start a conversation. And I'm emphasizing this because in Denmark, where I'm from, we have an institution and a school form that focuses on handshakes and on conversations, and it's called a Folkhøjskole. And why am I telling you this here tonight? Well, that's because there is an initiative right now that is about to export this school form out of Denmark into Europe and in a foreseeable future also to Slovenia. So therefore, I would like to take a little of your time to explain what a Folkhøjskole is. It is something special to Scandinavia and to Denmark, and it is, in a very brief version, an alternative to the formal system of education. We in Denmark have a normal and formal system of education where you can become a doctor or a hairdresser or whatever. But we also have the other opportunity of studying something, not because you have to, but because you want to. A place where you can study things you're interested in without exams and without tests, and these are the Folkhøjskoler. And they were founded in the middle of the 19th century, around 1844, on the basis of ideas that a Danish philosopher called Grundtvig had. And Grundtvig, he was almost obsessed with two things. The one thing was that he wanted to heighten the level of education in rural Denmark. And I promise you, this wasn't very high in the middle of the 19th century. But also, he wanted to promote a sense of togetherness and common identity. And he thought he could solve both these issues with creating schools which were open to everyone. Open without any requirements of formal education, certificates, or anything like that. Anyone could come to these Folkhøjskoler. And high and low, rich, poor, well-educated and less fortunate came to these courses. And they were mixed. And all the schools from early on were boarding facilities. And the courses would be 4 months or 6 months long. So you would spend 4 months in a building with a lot of different people, so that society on a very small scale was created for 4 months. And this is true even today. And we have in these Folkhøjskoler classes on all kinds of things. We have general topics like psychology, sports, arts, music, singing, dancing, all kinds of things. And usually people come because they're interested in one of these topics. And we also have schools who focus on the one thing or the other. And these schools are used in Danish society for several things, maybe 3. They are used for people who are interested in something. Maybe someone is in between jobs or in between educations and have always been interested in literature or in singing and dancing. So this man or woman visits a Folkhøjskole to study these things for 4 months. They're also used as a very important vehicle in the Danish formal system of education, in the sense that if you want to take an education, maybe you want to deal with or work with physical education, maybe you want to become a sports teacher, then many people feel that they have to develop their competencies in the field, so they visit a Folkhøjskole where they emphasize sport and train themselves so they're ready for their education. And research in Denmark has shown that people take their education faster and more efficiently if they have visited such a Folkhøjskole in advance. Also, the Folkhøjskoler work as a tool of heightening mobility on the labor market, so that people who are about to enter the labor market in the sometimes difficult transition anyways, between education and labor market, a Folkhøjskole is visited so that you're more effective and more successful in the labor market. And one of these schools has even systematized this in the sense that it offers, especially for young people, but for people of all ages. These schools are open, as I said. Language courses, German courses, and young people come, spend 4 months in this living and learning environment. And in the course of these 4 months, the people learn German. And immediately after the course is over, jobs have been provided for the students in the Austrian skiing season, so they go there to work for 4 to 6 months in tourism, maybe as ski instructors, or maybe as receptionists or as waiters. So that the folk high schools tie together school bench and labor market, and try to tie these two as close together as in any way possible. And these three things, these three tasks, the folk high schools in Denmark have taken care of for 160 years now. Now, some of these courses have started to open up for participants not only from Denmark but from all of Europe, and this is a direct reason why I'm here tonight. And they have been doing this for quite a while, and some of the courses even emphasize European issues, social studies, and focus on the state of democracy in Europe in 2015. And in these schools, people come not only from Denmark, but from 8, 9, or 10 different European countries. They come to learn without tests and without examiners. They learn not for school, but for life. And in the absence of tests and examiners, the responsibility for learning lies never with the teacher or the school, but with the student. And this concept of learning without any restraints of exams or tests creates a fantastic and unique atmosphere. Because what you learn in class, you learn not because you have to, but because you want to. And that usually makes people talk. That usually makes people participate in a conversation that takes place after class is over. So you hear something interesting in class and take the opportunity in the living and learning environment to continue discussion after class is over. And this conversation has in Denmark for 160 years been integrative. And since some of the schools have started opening up for participants from all over Europe, the conversation that takes place in these schools is not Danish, but European. And I have had the chance to visit some of these European courses, even the ones that focus on democracy and the state of Europe in 2015. And I want to tell you a little story about a conversation I witnessed. And it was a conversation that took place immediately after there had been a workshop in the school about minimum wage. And the two people, they had participated in this workshop. So after the workshop, they sat down. It was a boy from Denmark and a girl from Hungary, and they talked about minimum wage. And the girl said to the boy, in Hungary, it's not unusual that we go to work for 2 euros an hour. The boy thought about this, and then he said, in Denmark, minimum wage is 18 euros and 50 cents. And I saw this, and I saw how it mattered to both of them that they heard these facts from someone they knew. They did not read it in the newspaper. They did not hear it from a politician that nobody trusts anyways. They heard it from someone they knew, and they may even have known each other well. And I saw that for the first time maybe, the young Dane understood why so many Danish production companies want to produce outside of Denmark. Why should they pay 18 euros and 50 cents when they can produce in maybe Hungary for 2 euros an hour? He understood this. And the girl might have thought, I'm going to go home to Hungary and pack my bags and go to Denmark. Why should? It's not that simple, I know, but that's how I thought about this. And secondly, I thought, this is wonderful because we have both sides of this story. We have the one side that's concerned with minimum wage in Denmark, and we have the other side that is concerned with the minimum wage in Hungary. And I have always thought it's stupid and idiotic that we in Denmark discuss minimum wage. We can talk all we want about this. As long as we do not include the other side of the story, it's not going to matter anyways. We need to bring to the table and engage in the conversation both sides so we can find some kind of balance, not only concerning minimum wage, but concerning all other kinds of issues that we deal with in Europe in 2015. I noticed something recently in Denmark, and this is concerning the refugee crisis. We have been hearing stories, reading about refugees arriving in Cyprus, in Greece, and in Italy for the last couple of years. We have read about it. Nobody has cared about it, not in Denmark anyways. I can promise you the day that we started to care about refugees in Denmark was the day they crossed the border. Then it dawned on us that we have something we have to deal with. And it also dawned on us Danes that we have something we have to deal with in the common that we cannot solve ourselves. And right now we're in a situation where we have politicians that fly in and out of Brussels and Strasbourg all the time. They have meetings, they talk, they get to know each other, I'm sure. The same mobility is not available on the people's level, on the common level, on the level where you and I are. The same mobility is not present on the same level. And if we take people and invite them into these European courses, maybe we can create such a platform where we can discuss these things on the people's level. I have looked at this, and we have had these European courses in Denmark for some time now, and it came to me and to us that why should all of Europe come to Denmark and participate in conversations like the boy and the girl about minimum wage? Why should all of Europe come to Denmark to participate in a conversation about all the issues that we have to deal with in Europe? I think they should come because we need this conversation, and I think we should participate in this conversation because right now the conversation might take place in Brussels or in Strasbourg, and we leave it to our politicians to develop the visions and the future for Europe. But the politicians cannot do this. The people have to do this. The responsibility for the future is much too big to leave it to the politicians. The people of Europe have to develop the visions for the future. And I thought this, and we import and we invite all of Europe to participate in these courses. But why should the whole of Europe come to Denmark to participate in these courses? Why not instead take the Danish folk high schools and send them out into Europe, also into Slovenia, in order to create platforms all over Europe where this conversation about the future of Europe can take place, so that we establish or help establishing what's already there, but put more fuel into the establishment of a European public sphere, where the common man, you and I, can discuss what we want with this region. We need a conversation that takes place not in Parliament, but amongst the people of Europe. And there is a wonderful platform in this idea of the folk high school that can be used outside of Denmark as well in order to create a conversation where we all participate. What we need is a handshake. A handshake that signifies that we care about each other, that we want each other, and that we want to start a conversation with each other. Without this conversation, we're not going to be able to solve the issues that are at hand, because in this conversation lies the key to the future. Voila, and thank you for your attention.